Okay. All right. So, by skimming through, did you get the argument for every question? Or for every, not every question.
For every document?
For every document.
Yeah. Well, not like the argument, but like what it was about, and then I chose which documents I wanted to use.
Perfect. Okay, so that's what we're going to discuss today, okay? First of all, we're going to talk about breaking down the prompt. What does it seem like the prompt to you? What type of question does it remind you of? The third one, right? Because this is also an argument, right? So question one, so I write, you write, yeah? Question one is also argument. But question one is what we call the research argument, which they provide for you. They provide for you that research, okay? So we're gonna need to learn a couple things when we do this, okay? In this question, just like in question 3, you are required to put in your argument. What do you believe? Right? What is your argument? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna support your argument using the evidences that the how many sources are there?
Oh wait, yeah. There's one that is.
Oh yes, there's one that's
copyright.
one that's copyright. Okay,
Copyright.
I forgot that one was it. Okay, so there's seven sources, right? So obviously you're not going to use the copyrighted one, right? Okay, so there's 7 sources. Okay, now let's break down the prompt. Okay, what is the prompt asking you to do?
To make an argument on whether the USPS should restructure their position.
Okay, but what is the argument? Okay, so just like the question 3, right? Just like the question 3, I'm going to ask you to do the arch, okay? So right here in the question 3 is state the issue. Okay? So what's the problem?
The USPS is losing relevance.
The USPS is losing relevance. Okay? Very good. All right. So, if I were to write the issue here, what would I say?
Like one of the issues?
What is the clear issue that they wrote to you? Whether the USPS should be restructured to meet the needs of a changing world. Okay, so the issue is whether, right? The USPS should restructure. But there's a component there that you have to answer to. Yeah? What's the component?
And if so, how?
How? Okay, so not only were you gonna tell me, not only are you gonna tell me what your position is here, okay? So let's put this here. Let's take off the weather, okay? And let's put the USPS should restructure. Okay? That's the issue. Clearly. Yes? So you are either going to, on this side we had what? Do you guys remember? Do you guys have notes? On this side we had defend, actually, right? Defend, challenge, or qualify. Okay. So, in the next couple of days, I'm going to ask you guys to have your binders split open in front of you. In fact, I think we might have you guys sit on your own section so that way you can have all this information, because we're going to have to be requiring to go back and forth to these, all of the things that we've been doing this past year, okay? Because now it's going to count. Now it's when we put it together, then we make sure that we're understanding what we are required to do. Okay, so they named the sources, yeah? How do they name them? A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And which one's the one that's missing? D. D is missing, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that, okay? Now, from those sources, which one of those sources seem to you to defend, challenge, or qualify? Source A, tell me quickly, what's the argument in that source? They're giving advice as to what? Okay, so it's depending on the restructure. So A is over here. Okay, good. What about B?
It's a graph.
Hmm?
It's a graph on the.
So it's more like challenging.
It challenges what?
Well, what does qualifying that wants? Like,
Qualify means that they're in the middle. Qualify means that
neutral?
they're neutral. Did you say you're lost?
No, it's
Oh. It's neutral, you say? B
no,
is
I was
neutral?
asking if you meant neutral.
Oh, no. Yeah, I guess it is. Neutral. Okay. All right. So, what about B? What would you say it does? Now, here is where we are going to be forced to analyze visual pieces, visual arguments. What's the visual argument of that graph?
Mel is declining.
That Mel is declining. Okay. Is there anything that you see that you read outside of B that could potentially determine? And where did this happen? 2009, it's the annual report by the USPS. So it's their own report, right? And what does this show? The decline, the mail volume, right? Okay, so where would you place that? That would be kind of in the middle, right? It doesn't have a position, right? You actually can interpret B any which way, right? And you can use it to your advantage, actually. You can use it to your advantage if you're defending. You can use it to your advantage if it's challenging. It's just up to you how to determine how to use it, right? All right. Now, what about C? Does it defend, challenge, or qualify? It challenges it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. There's a hesitation. Victor, why are you hesitating?
Because it's talking about it losing money,
Okay.
so why would they not want it to change?
I think it's
The-
Yeah,
The USPS should restructure.
that's what it.
Is that what that's saying? That it should restructure?
Well, no, it's not saying that.
Well,
but
isn't it
it's
like
saying that
hinting it with, like saying about how they're
Yeah.
losing
It's
money
just saying
and
they're
the
losing money.
percentage?
Ah, so good. Okay. So is it challenge or is it defend?
It's
Okay, Julian, why did you think it was challenge?
I thought it was challenging because it said that the U.S. Postal Service released projections Tuesday that confirmed for the first time that the suspicion of mail volume will never return to its pre-recession levels. So that's something negative, like they will never be as.
so that means that they should restructure.
So that means that they're restructuring and that they need to
And
restructure.
it says the agency is pushing a need for a dramatic reshaping. It says the agency is pushing anew for a dramatic reshaping.
Okay, so let's switch it over here. It's actually defense. All right, so we're gonna skip D. And then based on the article though, what would you assume?
For D?
Just the title of the article for D. It's defending, so I'm gonna go ahead and go on a limb here and put it there. And we can actually look it up and see if we can find it anywhere else. All right. Illegally. Source E. Defends or challenges? What do you think, Giselle?
Defaults on
I
defense.
don't know, I skimmed through it. I went
You skim through it. This is why it's dangerous to skim through, right?
Miss D goes on defense.
But
challenge.
D goes on defend.
Yeah.
The USPS should be restructured. If it says right there, the postal workers, no.
Advantages of using the United States Postal Service.
So if they're gonna talk about the advantages of using the USPS, wouldn't you assume that it's gonna talk about in the current state it is now? Right? So if it says that, then I'm gonna assume that the USPS, as it's working right now, it's working fine. And they're gonna talk to me about how it's working fine. Alright, so E. If you were to look at E and you were to read the first paragraph out loud, can someone please read it for me? Julian, go ahead.
The entire thing?
Yes, please.
Okay. These
Wait, let me see. The first paragraph only.
Okay. These are tough times for the U.S. Postal Service. It's being pummeled by high fuel costs. The soft economy is crimping over the overall volume of mail, which fell 5.5% in the last year. Its business is also falling as Americans opt for email over birthday cards and thank you notes. Now comes another treat. Consumers like Colleen Plimpton of Bethel,
Connecticut?
Earlier this year, Plimpton became tired of the credit card offers, catalogs, and advertising flyers that clogged her mailbox. So in February, she paid $20 to Green Dimes, a firm that helps consumers reduce their inflow of junk mail by contacting businesses on their behalf. Junk mailers are cutting down trees willy-nilly, and that has got to stop, Mrs. Plimpton.
Alright, so let's read the last paragraph. Giselle, please read the last paragraph.
Green Dime's founder Pankaj Shah isn't sympathetic. Not only is his company providing a service to consumers, he says, but it has also used its fees to plant more than 1 million trees. We're all about giving consumers choice, not about bringing down the postal office, he says. Still, as more consumers opt out of junk mail, rain, sleet, and gloom of night may seem like the least of mail carriers' problems.
So what is that? What do you think? Based on those two paragraphs that you read, what do you think it's doing? Is it defending the USPS should restructure or challenging that the USPS should remain the same?
I think it's neutral.
You think it's neutral? I think you can pull pieces of there if you were gonna be on both, okay? That is E. Alright, going on to the next page. Now one of the strategies that I want you guys to do as you're doing these readings is do a quick soapstone, okay? What's the purpose? What's the topic? And pretty much what are the claims? You know the claims that we've been talking about? That I'm sure helped you guys too in the CASP, right? Hopefully the CASP is a piece of cake. Would you say, based on what we were doing in the rhetorical précis, that helped you immensely, I hope? Yeah? Okay, good. All right, so what I'm trying to do here is I want you guys to take in some strategies here, because this is the question that's going to take you the longest. And I'm going to tell you this right now. It's probably the question that you're going to answer the best, because the answers are right there. But it's going to require you to take a lot of time because of the reading, because of the note-taking, because of the rereading, because of the pulling out the quotes, right? So, it's real important for me that you understand that you have to plan your time for this question especially. Okay? Because guess what's going to happen? You're going to spend 2 hours on this, no, you're going to spend an hour on this question, and then you're only going to have 20 minutes left for the hardest question of them all, which is which one? You would argue question 2, okay? And arguably, question 2 is the one that's going to get you in the dumps. So I would recommend that you would leave this one to the end. But you run the risk also of running out of time too, and leaving the first question, which is probably the easiest question, you know. So you're going to have to map your time out, okay? So one of the strategies that I want you guys to do as you're reading the sources, okay? So a strategy, writing this down? Strategy is claims. Claims, annotate claims on each side. Oops, a note. Annotate claims. That's really important, okay? If you annotate claims, it'll be a quick reference to, okay? Because you're gonna be required to do 3 of these. You have to cite 3 sources. Required. cite 3 sources. Okay, that's absolutely required. You cannot earn anything higher than a 5 if you don't cite 3 sources. You're gonna get a 4 if you don't. If you did a really good essay but you only cited 3 sources or 2 sources and that's all you did, you can't get higher than a 4. In fact, I think you can't get higher than a 3. Okay, so you are required to cite 3 sources, the sources that they give you. Okay, now we're gonna talk about how you cite. Okay, now when we've been doing the rhetorical précis, we've kind of been talking about how to cite sources. They're called in-text citations. Now, this is probably one of the biggest ones that you are going to need. Did you guys write the essay already? During the test, during the cast, did you guys write the essay already? Not yet? Okay, this is going to be useful too for the cast, okay? That's why I want to get it in really quickly, and that's why I'm recording myself, which I hate. Okay? This is going to be so essential because in the cast, it's going to require students to do this in the text, okay? How do you cite sources in text, okay? Now, this is a very simple way to do it, okay? Very simple, okay? I'm going to put 3 ways you can cite a source, okay? How do you cite in-text quotes? Go get another pen. All right, so you say, you can either say a quote, or where did the markers go? Okay, so one way to say in-text citations is according to source A, the author claims, right? That's one way to do it. Or you can do it a little more professional way, which nobody's gonna get mad at you if you do that. That's easy. I would stick with that. That's why I'm showing it first, okay? Now, another way to cite your source is by giving the last name of how it's already, they give you the MLA formatted version right there. What's the first thing you should use? The author, right? So you would say the last name right there. It says colon argues that, right? Remember, you have to use the last name. Now, some of the things that some other students have always made this mistake, and I don't think it's not gonna cost you any points. But another mistake that students do during the time that they're writing this essay is that they'll say the first name of the author. Avoid doing that, okay? Because this is the assessment, the holistic assessment. If you're sounding like you don't know how you're doing the quotations, it's gonna be a problem, okay? So you either say according to source, right? And then you say the last name, okay? So I would use this because if you notice too, there's gonna be a visual representation, right? Which is the graph, right? So like, how would you say that? You're gonna write the whole title. That's another way. But really, it's just, the best way to do this is to save time. So source B, I would say source B argues, or in source B. So this is what we call in-text citations, okay? So we call this in-text citations. And this is a crucial skill, guys, because this is essential not only when you're writing essays in AP, but this is also essential when you go into the world of college writing. You're gonna be required to do this, and you're gonna be required to do it well, okay? So it's essential. Okay? All right. Questions so far? No? Okay. Now we're gonna continue with the reading, okay? Yes.
For like the ones that you said were visuals, what do you put like in source B, it is argued or like it's displayed?
Yes, I would say that. Source B displays this, right? So instead of saying in, right, source B displays, right? Another word for visual, right, would be illustrates. You could say illustrates instead.
So we wouldn't have to put like the name of the author at the end of the sentence?
No, I wouldn't go there. Don't.
So
This right here, because it's a timed essay, I don't even want you to even worry about that, because this is a timed essay. Now, I'm going to show you how to do that for purposes of college writing, of course, after we're done with the test. But right now, we don't have that much time, right? So right now, my goal is to get you guys to be the most effective time managers when you're taking the test, okay? Now, the claims here, okay? This is what we've been working towards. That's all our assignments have been working to this moment right now, okay? So, you reading each source and doing a quick read and doing the claims, number one right there. One of the things that I noticed as I walked around, you were just reading. Why is it just reading a problem?
Because
You're gonna forget. You're gonna be on time crunch. You're gonna be nervous. Best thing to do when you're taking this exam is that you take note of what you just read. Especially if you have 7 sources to read from. You must annotate. You have to annotate. There's no law against you annotating those 15 minutes of reading. This is how it's gonna happen, ladies and gents. You're going to come into class, okay? The first session, you're gonna fill all the stuff out that you have to do. First 60 minutes is the multiple choice, okay? After the multiple choice, I think they give you a break. I'm not sure. You're not allowed to bring your cell phones. You're not allowed to bring anything. I think you get a quick, brief break. That's it, okay? Then you come back, and then you're giving 15 minutes of reading. Now, they might decide to give you the 15 minutes of reading before you go on the break. What does that mean then? Disadvantage for you, because why? You forget what you read. But if you took careful annotations before you moved on to the next one, if you highlight what quote you could potentially use for your argument, okay, then at that point you can then start saying, okay, this is what I need to do. Okay, write it down, highlight. This is gonna be your best friend. You can't do anything else. That's why I've been trying to get you guys to do it every single time you do a précis, because that's the only way, ladies and gentlemen.
When you say that they're gonna give us 15 minutes to read like all 3 of the essays?
Yes. 15 minutes for just reading. So during those 15 minutes, not only will you be reading the question 1, you will also be reading question 2 and question 3. Okay, and they don't give you time for planning. So the 15 minutes is the time that you're gonna have to use to plan your essay. So that's why I'm telling you guys that you can skim. In fact, I recommend it, but you can't skim wholly where you're not gonna make an annotation of what you think the claim is. Where do you find a claim usually? First paragraph, at the very beginning. Sometimes it's not easily available. Sometimes you have to read more. Until you find that claim, your goal is to, as you're reading, you're gonna identify the claims that the author is trying to make. And also determine whether it's a good claim or not too, because you can use a source to support what you're saying, even though it apparently goes against it. You can use that as a counterclaim, right? Yeah, because it's a weak one. So hey, this is a counterclaim. This says this, they're wrong because hey, this is more important. Okay? Any questions? Any more questions? This is gonna be the one that's gonna consume the time and you're gonna do it really well. But then you're gonna run out of time. So I'm telling you guys right now, you cannot allow that to happen. You cannot allow that to happen. I think you guys are close readers enough to where I feel that you guys can be successful by skimming. I've never recommended this to any other students, guys. You guys are my first ones. If you skim until you find well, obviously you're gonna read first. Read the title too, cause it's gonna reveal more about the claim, also the larger claim. Because the title, as we realize, they give away the claim, okay? All right, now, my next thing, which I'm gonna talk about real quickly, okay? There's a worksheet inside of in that, at the very end of the, after you see that picture right there, post office of Ocopee, Florida. Look at that office. It's huge, huh? Yeah. All right. That's another visual representation. That's another visual argument right there. Okay. All right. I'm gonna erase this. Hopefully you have a chance to view it. Is it viewable?
Yeah.
All of it, hopefully. Okay. All right. I can't make this video too big. Hopefully I can upload it. That'll be a challenge.
Over what?
On Edmodo. Or I'm just gonna share it to students when they come tomorrow. View this as homework. Not tomorrow, but on Monday. All right, here's the next thing, guys. Okay, look at that, section 1, multiple choice. This is how they divide it, okay? You take the number correct and you multiply by 2272. So I have your numbers. You guys want your numbers?
Yeah.
Except for you, Amberlyn. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys a number. So Amberlyn, you're not allowed to go on Edmodo and go perusing through the multiple choice. In fact, I'm gonna delete it right now. Don't let anybody give it to you because I want a real, true reading of your ability. Now this is out of 30, how much did we say? 39. I changed, okay, no. We only had about, we only really did have about, I think this is about, I think we can figure, we're gonna talk about this